All right, welcome back to Potential Mayhem with Aaron. We got a lot to talk about this afternoon, this evening, tonight. Basketball world recently said goodbye to a legendary hooper, Don Nelson. We got an Aaron Donald update. Football is officially back as the NFL preseason kicked off really last week, but tonight is when the real action took place. Plus, Russell Westbrook calls it a career after 18 unforgettable seasons in the NBA. We got all that and much more. So let's get ready. You know what time it is. Lock in. It's always a great day to be great. Let's get to it. All right. Kicking things off, as I mentioned, it was announced earlier in the week, well, I guess over the weekend, that legendary coach, former player in the NBA, Don Nelson, passed away, age of 86. Second winningest coach in the NBA history. When he retired, he was number one. After his retirement, I think Coach Pop called him. He is a member of the Naismith Hall of Fame. Most notable for his coaching days in Dallas and probably Golden State. He was a player prior to getting into coaching, but most notably, at least for myself, others, my age group, I forget what the term is called, but most of us probably most likely remember him in his coaching days with Run TMC and really becoming the inventor of that small ball theory, where he wants to put smaller guys out there against some of those bigs, force them to stretch it defensively, pause, but really kind of get guys out and running. Hence Run TMC and Golden State with Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, and Mitch Richmond. And then obviously what he did down in Dallas, that was really when it became popular, really kind of opened things up. Somebody like myself would have probably enjoyed, would have thrived in some of his schemes, some of his offensive. So RIP to Don Nelson. He did win 5 titles as a player with the Celtics. And like I said, I believe he was the one that really originated that small ball. I think they called it Nelly ball back in the day. Some of the guys that played under Don Nelson was, I think, Matt and Stack both played for him in Golden State. A couple of guys. So just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge his passing. Now pivoting into some more news that we got last week. Trying to contain myself a little bit, but it was an Aaron Donald sighting. He came out and worked out with the Rams in full Rams gear at the facility last week. They had to report it just because he was out there with the team, performing some team workouts with the team. So he was listed on the NFL Transaction Wire last Wednesday, a week ago. Was kind of cymatical to be able to use the equipment and things like that to fall under the legalities, with the CBA. That was the quote that we got from Sean McVay when they first reported on that happening last week. So McVay also added that Donald will not take part in another workout with the Rams during this process, but has some other plans that he'll be able to do off-site on his own. I think we've already seen him doing some of them famous agility training moves that he does out there in the field, open field. You know how we're accustomed to seeing AD work out with the knives and some of the speed drill and agility drills that he does out there on the field. So it looked like McVay had been saying that if there was a trend to be trending upwards prior to this news coming out, and the fact that he's been keeping everything pretty much under wraps. I think it's just a matter of how he feels as we get closer to the season. Been a number of things going on. They've been having joint practices with the Cowboys recently as they're preparing to get ready for their first preseason game on Saturday. Been keeping Myles Garrett out just for precautionary reasons with some inflammation on his knee. I think they said Nakua had exited a practice early yesterday, day before, with some, I forget how you pronounce it. I think it's some type of ab soreness, something like that. But McVay said he should be returning tomorrow. I believe they still in practice tomorrow. But he should be back soon. It's nothing too serious. So a lot of things. As you can imagine, McVay's been getting bombarded with questions about the status of Aaron Donald. You know, what we can expect, is he returning, what we're gonna do, what's the plan? And I think that he's been keeping things close to the vest. I saw an interview that he did recently, yesterday, I think it was, after their practice, where jokingly he was just like, he just kind of wants to get through this. Once we get closer to this Australia trip, that's really what everything is kind of seeming to narrow down to, is this Australian trip. So apparently they have a plan in place, and I just think that McVay is trying to give AD some space. I think AD just wants to make sure that he's right, he makes a sound decision. That's all we can ask for, and just letting everything else kind of fall into place. Looks like went ahead and named Stetson Bennett to be the QB1 for Saturday over Ty Simpson. I think there was, I don't know, I thought it was maybe just me at first, but then I did see something earlier today that kind of verified that I wasn't alone, that, there did seem to be some type of inclination, I guess, in McVay's response recently that they may go with Ty Simpson, but I know they said they were going to evaluate both guys and make a decision, and it looks like Stetson Bennett has kind of gotten the edge so far. So they want to see what he looks like out here on Saturday against Dallas. So we here. It's here. It's here. It's just a couple more weeks. So in other NBA news, this one I wasn't quite expecting, but I can't say that I was surprised. Yesterday morning, Russell Westbrook announced that he is going to be stepping away from the game of basketball after 18 seasons, at the age of 37. Westbrook announced in I saw it on Instagram. I don't know what other platforms it would have been on. It's a little bit longer. But in a video, a short film, I guess you could say, narrated by Michael B. Jordan, Westbrook announced his retirement from the NBA. And did so in a cinematic fashion where he's walking through a warehouse that's displaying different highlights and different phases of his career, with him ending in a room that's unfinished, which symbolizes his future, which obviously, hasn't played out fully yet. So, we're all just kind of waiting to see what happens next. But Westbrook did receive some offers prior to announcing his retirement from the Kings again, which is where he played last season, as well as the Wizards, who, when you look at it, should have a pretty decent core. They just signed Trae Young. The other AD, Anthony Davis, is looking for a long-term deal. They had the #1 draft pick in AJ DeBonsa. They've added some other pieces, along with some of the younger guards that they had already. That could have been an interesting reunion for Westbrook. I say reunion because he played that one season with Scotty Brooks before he went to the Lakers. I think they did make the playoffs that year, but I think it was a quick exit. But instead he chose retirement, which I don't really think had anything to do with the money, but I don't know that for sure. That's all speculation. Could have had something to do with it. Now, just to run off real quick some of his accolades, Westbrook has a 2012 Finals appearance against the Miami Heat. He's also the first to average a triple-double for a season since Big O in his MVP year of 2016 to 17. We're talking about a 9-time All-Star. I think he's going to retire with the most triple-doubles in NBA history. Also finishes 5th on the list in NBA history career assists. So pretty solid career. Even LeBron posted first ballot Hall of Fame. So I guess we'll see him in the NBA is 5 years. I think NFL is 5 seasons. I think 4 or 5. I think it's the same thing in NBA. So handful of years, we should be hearing about him being nominated, going on that ballot, and he should be right on in there. So congrats to Russ on an incredible career. I know I was looking at some highlights that just kind of brought me back some of those early OKC days. Man, that dude was a highlight reel for sure. You talk about heart and some of those battles that he's had with guys, Dame Lillard up there in Portland, just a whole list of guys, man. And it's kind of cool to see how many people came out and had, or mentioned him on social media and had positive things to say, his peers and everything like that. Because I can remember a time where it was just him and his guys. He didn't have friends on the other side, So to kind of see some of his peers embrace him and this side of him being celebrated is pretty cool. So congrats again, Russ. Solid career. And we're going to be interested to see what you got going on next. What's the next move? What are you pivoting to? So, staying in the NBA world, woke up to some other news, which is the Lakers being sold again in 10 months. So this is the second time the Lakers will have been sold in 10 months. Mark Walters, owner of the Dodgers, billionaire, has sold the Lakers for $12.5 billion. 10 months, 10 months, something like that, to former Disney CEO Bob Iger, as well as Josh Kushner. Now, a little background. Bob Iger, you probably heard that name a couple times by now, resigned as CEO of Disney back in March after stabilizing the company. I don't know if you guys remember earlier, coming off the pandemic, during the pandemic, there was a lot of layoffs that were taking place. Disney was not doing too well. They were losing money. Had some concerns as well as regarding ESPN, things of that nature. With linear TV. I don't want to say death of linear TV, but linear TV kind of suffering, having some troubles, right? As opposed to some of the other platforms, streaming, things of that nature. So he was able to kind of guide and land that plane. Really a good deal that the NBA was able to sign here ahead of this past season. And some of those things I've heard that he had a hand in making sure that happened and took place. So I just learned that he resigned in March when I heard this news that he was going to be part of the group that's purchasing the Lakers. So Lakers originally sold for $10 billion, set the record before Boston Celtics sold their team. And so now they come back and reset the market with this $12.5 billion purchase. Now, Josh Kushner is an American businessman who made his name or made his wealth off of hedge funds and some other business moves that he made. He is notably the brother of Jared Kushner. They've made a point to make sure that he has some different political views, although I did hear some other stuff that I meant to make sure that I looked up before coming on here and talking about it, but I don't want to mention it just because I'm not 100% sure. Now, if you're like me, you have plenty of questions, like what the hell got us to this point? And there's a couple of things that kind of, seem to be key factors in all of this. So for starters, you have the fact that Bob Iger and Josh Kushner were originally in the bidding process for the Vegas expansion. And I think Josh Kushner already had stake in the Miami Heat. Bob Iger has been notably a NBA fan, We're talking back in the days when CP3 was running the show for the Clippers. Iger had been known to be a courtside attendee, right? Him and CP3 actually have a good relationship. So no surprise him being from LA. I guess with the Vegas expansion, bidding process becoming increasingly expensive, there was some talk that maybe the idea was brought to them to kind of test the waters with Mark Walters, not Waters, but Walters, considering all the things that he was going through or is going through at the time, with some of his companies being federally subpoenaed regarding some of his insurance companies and financial reporting. There's some claims that his private credit investments were improperly categorized and could have been funding other businesses in his empire. So you look at that for what it is. They said, hey, let's test the temperature. Let's see if he'd be interested in doing it. Offered him $12.5 billion. Mark Walters said, hey, so I could use that. So, it's a lot of speculation as far as, the who, what, when, where, why. Obviously, you look at the fact that there was some talk about Kushner, his ties to Trump because of his brother and who he's married to, who he's married to, and a recent FIFA attempt to sell or purchase, whatever. But hasn't been much more information provided regarding that, see if there's anything tied to it. So everything is pretty much speculation at this point. I'm sure there's going to be some more information that comes out. I just thought the timing was interesting with everything that's going on, especially with what I'm going to talk about later. LeBron's exit. Luka did come out and give probably the most PC answer we've seen from him so far in the midst of all this. Looking at the fact that he's been through 3 sales, 3 ownership changes in the span of 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. I think it's 4 years. But he seemed to have a good attitude about it based on his release, his statement release, and I guess we're all just along for the ride, and we'll see what happens. But very interesting news to me, especially because of the when you look at the Lakers brand, right? All we've known for so many decades is the Bus family, right? So it was big news to find out that they were selling the team to Mark Walters in the first place. And then in less than a year for them to turn around and sell the Lakers again in less than a year, it's kind of like that does raise eyebrows, like, the hell going on here? But, we'll see what happens. But that is what's going on. Some interesting news, especially with what's going on with the crosstown rival and the Clippers in this Kawhi saga. And I'm pretty sure that everybody's heard at this point, unless you live under a rock, what's going on with that. Last week, there was a report that came out. I think Pablo Torre, who was the one that alerted us about the first investigation that was going on with possible evasion of the salary cap and the Clippers with the deal that Kawhi had as a spokesperson for a company. Well, it seemed like that wasn't the only little situation he had. Apparently, he had another deal with Daktronics, company that built the Halo in the Intuit Dome, which was tied to Kawhi Leonard, in an undisclosed deal that has now gone bankrupt. A green banking company that had a sponsorship agreement worth millions, which is what's being reported. Now it's being investigated. That is also probably, I believe, going to be, since it's pending, hold up the potential trade between the Clippers and the Toronto Raptors that was in BI, and I think a couple other people out there in LA. So everybody's waiting to see what's going on with that. I know Pablo Torre said that even on the website there was no mention of Kawhi. I ain't no hater, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to see Kawhi go to tomorrow. And I know that may be messing up his money because Toronto is interested in extending Kawhi at his age. But also, Toronto, as well as the Lakers, have reportedly let the league know that before Kawhi signed with the Clippers, there were some requests that were made that potentially could have violated some type of NBA rules, right? So NBA had been aware of it, had been aware of the request way back. I'm talking about 2019, like I said before, it came to the Clippers in the first place. So this could hold up the potential trade, just because obviously if there's anything that's returned, the league will have to punish obviously the Clippers or whoever Kawhi is part of the roster, because most likely the team, the Clippers, will get some type of sanction, and they're not gonna let Kawhi just walk away scot-free like, you know, he didn't play a part in it. So a lot of stuff that's been said. I don't really want to get too far into that until we get everything sorted out and we know the exact details. But it is very interesting. I ain't mad at him for getting his money. Obviously, you know, there's a way that you have to play the game, but joking around is kind of like Steve Ballmer. I'm sure that he's used to getting his way. So if there is any penalty that's being levied, I don't know, I just don't take him as the guy to sit back and just be like, all right, you know what I'm saying, I'll hold mine. Pretty sure he's got his ear to the streets, and if there's anything else anybody else is doing, like, where did he get the idea? You know, he may not go along. So we'll see what happens. Pivoting back to the NFL. So tonight was really opening night for preseason. They did have a Hall of Fame game last week where Carson Beck was the talk of the town after that game. But tonight they opened up with a handful of teams. The NFL's first round draft pick, Fernando Mendoza, got on the field today. He got himself a touchdown drive. A number of other teams that got out there and got to showcase for their first week in preseason. So, like I mentioned, Rams, they get to shine on Saturday night. Everybody's been keeping a look or keeping an ear out for Cleveland to see what they got going on. Looks like out here in preseason, Shador and Deshaun have been sharing first reps, alternating between the two. A vast difference from last season when Shador was not getting any first team reps, as Dylan Gabriel was taking up a lot of that time, and he was fighting for second and third team, because I think Flacco started off as the starter, right? But they traded him right before the season to Cincinnati. If my memory serves me correctly. Something like that. But so it was announced recently after going back and forth. Monken didn't seem too committal as far as who would be the starter for their week one preseason matchup, but he recently announced that Deshaun will get the start in their preseason opener against Chicago, and then Shador will start game 2 against Buffalo. Shador had been taking majority of the first team reps Monday earlier in this week, and they said, I think Watson, he led the way Tuesday. They said they've seen some strides in Deshaun Watson earlier in the preseason. Shador had really been consistent. Looking at the numbers on these plays that they've released online, you see some really good things. And Cleveland has pretty much put together a nice little young core. Again, they got Jared Verse back for the Myles Garrett trade. So it's going to be that's an interesting situation because it's like, it's preseason. You look at some of the names that they have and the potential, right, is there. How will they fare once, it's game time speed and you're going up against some of these other teams? So I guess we're kind of just along for the ride for the rest of the preseason to see what Sean looks like in the opener, right? And then to see how Shador follows that up. And then week 3, it's like, all right, what's the word? I have heard, possible scenarios where this could be a way for Deshaun Watson to kind of display, where he's at, what he can bring to any team at this point. It's almost like an audition, right? Tryout. They could possibly move on from him, if they get the right offer. Or if what he has to offer is, good enough to help them put together a nice, decent season. So, it's all up in the air. We'll see what happens. But it's good to have NFL right there on the front porch. We're just basically moments away from getting to some real live action. So, couple of things going on for preseason that we're looking at. Gibbs, Robinson, and Taylor have all gotten their money. They ready to go. Cowboys recently reached a deal with Quentin Williams, so he's got a 3-year, $105.9 million. I think that's an extension. Commanders, they are going to have to be without Larry Tunsil with a torn tricep. And like I said, all weekend you got some football. So, what was it? I felt like something ended recently, maybe not. I just been keeping up with baseball. We got the Dodgers up 4-2 right now on the Brewers, who are a game ahead of us. We had a nasty little skid last couple of weeks where I think we lost 7 straight. Then I think we won a game and then lost again, and then got back to the crib, was able to sweep the Royals. Now taking on the Brewers, who lead the NL, and looking good so far with Scott in here trying to close out the game. But what's this, the 80? So yeah, I think we made it through. We almost there. Preseason, not always the most exciting football that you'll get, but it's the lead up to opening night. Now, Sunday, K-Mac, the Minnesota Lynx, who have just kind of been steamrolling, set the record for most 3-pointers in a single game. She put up 10 of them things and they needed them. They looked kind of sluggish coming out. It was a back-to-back. They had played the Aces the day before, that afternoon before, kind of took it to the Aces. Turned around back-to-back and had Dallas in the crib, and they just couldn't really seem to shake them. K-Mac stepped in there, did her thing, put up 43 points. I was watching that one. It was a great performance by her. She's been on a tear. I mean, she had I remember right before Fee got back, and even with Fee being reinserted into the lineup, she hadn't really let up off the gas. Obviously, you got another 25 point scorer on Fee. Olivia Miles has been Rookie of the Year in the runaway contest, and I always thought, looking at her early, I was like, all right, well, how's this gonna work when Fee gets back? Because that is your go-to. It doesn't seem to really have mattered. You look at it, they're well defensively. Fee's been supportive. You can see her on the sideline. Some of the things that she was telling Olivia Miles before she even returned, where she's like, "It's your team. You got to lead this team." This, that, and the third. She kept empowering her. So I tell you what, the way they look right now, the Liberty were looking like they could be restoring their form early, but they've been looking shaky lately. Aces, after seeing what they did last season, it's kind of like you can't quite count them out. Mercury, who were in the finals last year, it's their title to lose. They're favorites to win the championship so far. And so, we'll see how everything plays out. Obviously, they were on that road. They struggled with Phoenix last season, right before Fee had the season-ending injury. So they kind of been on this plane for the last few years. So it'll be interesting to see if they can finish it off this season. All right. And to close this out, talk of the town in another industry had been, we went to go see the verses between the Game and YG. And it's interesting how everything has kind of transpired after that. There was a lot of talk about YG and some other situation that he had. And since then, it's pivoted to the Game and K-Dot. And I'm trying to remember how we even got to this point. I think a lot of it has to do with people still wanting to bring Drake into the fold whenever talking about K-Dot, as if K-Dot doesn't have enough going on his own, that he doesn't need that guy to be, brought into it for him to become relevant. But you have those that cape for Drake that just feel like anytime they hear K-Dot, ooh, they gotta, well, my man Drake. So the Game has since been brought back into the chat. A lot of people uncovered the meaning behind 616 in LA, I guess. Title of the track that was released during the back and forth between K-Dot and Drake, and realized that 616 was the date that the Game shot the 100 video where he brought Drake to Compton. And when you start undressing it and looking at everything for what it was, it's like, oh, that's really why he titled that. And then when you start looking at the lyrics, it's like, oh, that's really what he's talking about. So then, came the questioning of JCon, how do you feel about, Dot not talking to you around this time? I think initially they were talking about Game being in the J-Rock video with the hoodie over his face, the face mask where you couldn't see his face. This is when they were really kind of bubbling on the scene and coming up. So a co-sign from Game is like, oh, you know what I mean? All right, y'all really got some motion going on over there. And Chuck's response was he got paid 10 bands to wear it. I read it somewhere. I didn't see it, so I don't know if that's actually what he said. I could just be going off of something that I saw, not really that much of an importance to me. Just because obviously if he had a hoodie on and his face was covered, however you feel about it, it is what it is, right? So, and it's too late to go back and change anything now. But since then, it seemed like there might have been some tension. Game felt like what K-Dot did, going and acting in Ghost or whatever the 50 Cent show was kind of like, like he didn't care. So he tried to, use that as a crutch or an excuse. And it's like, well, you had K-Dot on the same album. Drake literally was dissing K-Dot in the song 100, and you bring him to Compton to shoot the video. It's like how you bring the op to our space, you know what I'm saying? And you just kind of like make a mockery out of it. So it looked like, it might be some smoke. They said, Game was back in the stew. There was some, murmurs that possibly the Game may be sending some shots at folks until earlier today that seemed to be shut down, as Mac Wap said that he was told to calm it down. So what looked like it could be a collision course, as we were thinking we were gearing up for another battle. Looks like they went ahead and calmed that and put a cease to it, which I don't really have a problem with, because I don't think Dot really has that big of a problem. I think it's one of those things where it's like, you could be cool over there, I could be cool over here. Don't really got to be no issue, right? And that's me paraphrasing. I don't know. I haven't heard that from Dot, but just seeing as how you don't really hear him talk about Jayceon in that fashion, so I really don't think it was an issue. And I think the game is just like trying to get his shit back together, and if he could have used that to kind of propel this next project, I'm sure that he would have. But I think he's too talented, too skilled. He doesn't really need that. He could use the momentum that he has from the verses. However people felt about it, what they say. Anytime they're talking about you, you know what I mean? That's a good thing. So we'll see what happens and what's coming with I think he's got the documentary 3 that's coming up. So see what's going on. All right, that's all I got for y'all this time around. I'm working on getting some more content, making sure that we're out here and a little bit more consistent with it moving forward, putting forth a better effort. So I hope that y'all rocking with me. If so, make sure that y'all let me know. But until next time, as I said, it's a great day to be great. Recapped a couple of things. RP Don Nelson, Russell Westbrook retired. We also got NFL preseason kicking off. Lakers have been sold again, and much, much, much more. So we'll be discussing some more topics NFL wise. MLB is starting to get into that wind down as they lead up to their postseason. So I will holler at y'all next time.